I'm going to get Ray up here Ray is on the stage. You need to turn your camera on, Ray, and your mic. There we go. We got you. We couldn't get Ray's camera working today, so we get to look at his pretty face.
Sorry.
We got him going though. So I'm going to get us live on LinkedIn, and we're going to get started here.
All right.
Let's do this, people.
All right.
All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Manufacturing Ecommerce Success Series. I'm here with I'm Damon Pistolka, first of all. I'm here with my co-host, Curt Anderson, and I am just jacked for our guest today. So we're talking about going global with e-commerce, man, and we've got a legend. But I'm going to turn it over to Curt right after we do a little special mention here. Let's talk about this right here. We are now officially manufacturing trailblazers. Thank you so much, Allison DeFord. Awesome t-shirt. Gotta love it. And I gotta tell you, Curt, I don't know if you noticed this, but the little special touch in this, she's actually got her logo in the back of this thing.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
And you know what? Val has a shirt. Greg has a shirt. So guys, you got to put your Trailblazer shirts on today and wear them proud. Thank you to our dear friend Alison. God, yeah, what a blessing and gift she is, man. So all right, let's dig right in, guys. So Curt Anderson, happy Friday. Welcome. Big Greg says thank you. So Greg's wearing his shirt. We might have to pull up everybody. When Ray's done, let's pull everybody up and we're gonna do all the shirts, all right? So as soon as Ray's done, so stick around, Greg. Hopefully you don't have to run. All right, guys, for those of you, let's dig into Ray Ziganto for a minute, man. Just Ray, and now he lost his picture too. He's on vacation. He's blessing us with his presence today. So Ray, while you're doing that, man, let me rattle off a few things. He's down in Florida. He's got his flip-flops on. He's so he was on the beach.
Yeah.
He was fishing this morning. So here's Ray's career, Damon. Check this out. I don't know if you've noticed the career that this guy has built. Sales engineer, vice president of marketing and business development, corporate sales manager, then moved up to vice president of operations in China, Singapore, Malaysia. He's built business in Mexico. He was the senior vice president of global operations and then moved up to president of BuyLink and it was a 1,500, as the word he uses, it was a 1,500 person job shop. So, I mean, there was a little bit more than a job shop, but president of 1,500 people. So when we have the manufacturing unicorn in the house, he is truly the authority. Ray, welcome. Thank you for joining us today, my friend.
Oh, man. Thanks, Curt. Thanks, Damon. So thrilled to be here today. As you can tell from my lack of dexterity with getting my picture up and running here, I'm a results guy, not necessarily a tech guy. So to make this work today, I wouldn't panic. So
that's perfect. Hey, no, we're dude, we love you. So, however, we don't care about the technical side. We've got all your fans here. So, cool. Ray, so I also want to share. So, guys, I dropped Ray's. Dan Bigger made it, man. Dan Bigger.
Sweet.
So, I've got Ray's LinkedIn profile. Please connect with Ray. My next thing I want to bring up is Ray. If you haven't heard this, I don't know where you've been. If you're in manufacturing, they have the best podcast on the planet for manufacturers. MFG OutLoud. I have it in the chat box. If you guys haven't checked it out, you have to check out. Ray, how on earth did you and first, let's take it a step back. How did you connect with Allison DeFord? How did your paths cross?
It was LinkedIn. It was purely LinkedIn. It was pretty recent in my journey off on my own to start my own advisory firm. And just, I like looking for interesting opinions and thought leadership and stuff like that. And what resonated about Alison was, I felt I had met my business counterpart, because here was a marketer who got manufacturing. and my the unicorn status that she bestowed upon me is because I'm a manufacturer that gets marketing. So we fill in each other's blanks, So we connected there and, talked about big plans and the way things ought to be, and eventually convinced ourselves, we ought to do a podcast. And then it was like, well, why aren't we? And then after another year of debate, in our infinite wisdom, March 17th of 2020, we decided it was a good time to launch a podcast. So 50 episodes later, here we are.
That is absolutely awesome. We welcome Bobby. I saw Gene on the program. So welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah. And I'll tell you, Allison is just absolutely amazing. I know she's our soul sister, keeps us all in line. And Ray, talk a little bit like what inspired you guys to get the podcast going? Like what was that trigger? Who said it first, or like what, how did that come about?
It was one of those things. It had kind of a long gestation period. Allison and I knew we kind of got along, and we set up a standing appointment. Once a week, we would do a Zoom with each other and just talk about what projects were we working on, what were clients up to, have you ever seen this or seen that? So it was kind of like a structured brainstorming session for a while, and eventually it just started to narrow down where it was like, man, we kind of got a lot of notes here. Mm-hmm. And as I would share something, Allison told me, and vice versa, people were going, boy, that's kind of interesting. So, we started, and the genesis was, it was just the two of us. And we figured out after about 3 episodes that we were kind of out of stuff to say, not that we didn't have opinions, but it was like, boy, if we don't start engaging with a broader audience, and that's where we met you and Mark Roberts and Ben, and there's just so many, Damon, so many cool folks. And it really, what revealed itself is that this is a community, and the pie gets bigger to the extent that we engage with each other. And that's really what this thing has been all about. It's talking to cool people.
I think the chemistry between the two of you is just absolutely phenomenal. Allison has that gift where, like, she's the one person that you can, you're reading something on the keyboard, make sure that you don't have anything any liquids in your mouth, because whenever you read what she's typing, you're spitting it right on your keyboard.
How about it?
And, I think you guys have such great chemistry on your podcast. You have amazing, incredible guests. I learned something new every time, from Bonnie to you've had different job shops. The gentleman, you had a great guy from Michigan. Yeah. I know Darren Mitchell. I've learned all sorts of new terms. So for folks that haven't heard this one, Ray, can you explain what is commission breath?
That was Mark Roberts came up with that one. That's kind of Allison has a different spin on it, and I think it's what is it? Desperate is creepy. And it's just it's when you lose sight of, Mark's big thing is sales is an act of service, and if you lose sight of the fact that you're providing a service to the other person first, that's where the commission breath kind of comes in. So, God, we love using that one.
That is hysterical. And what I absolutely love, you brought up Mark Roberts. If you guys aren't familiar, phenomenal guy. And he taught me a line that I use all the time. People are longing for an educator or a trusted guy disguised as a salesperson.
Right.
And what I love that you describe yourself as, you're the manufacturing guy disguised as a consultant. And I love that, in your when you look at your track record, your leadership is just bar none, man. I just, I know we kid around a lot, but I have such respect and admiration for the career that you've built. Truly, you are an international guru. We're going to dig into your presentation here in 1 second.
Sure.
But on your leadership side, this is how you describe your leadership. My leadership style is collaborative, inclusive, I can't read my writing, and embraces people of all cultures, talents, and abilities from the shop floor to the boardroom. Man, my hat's off to you. That is just such a powerful 1-sentence statement describing your style. Talk about, you've been in business for a year or two. How did you build up that leadership style?
It's baptism by fire. Anybody that's running a manufacturing shop, I mean, you end up with, what is it I have to do today? And, it's that old thing, I've got friends that have been in the service, I need a volunteer, and everybody steps back. you know, and there you are. So like a lot of things, you just got to figure it out. And it's like, you know, hey, we're all on LinkedIn and want to put the best foot forward. And I got news for you. I learned more from my scars than I did from my successes, you know, along the way. And anybody that says otherwise is.
That's right. That's why I don't have any hair left. So anyway, but on another note, so let's take it. So guys, I dropped Ray's LinkedIn profile. I dropped the link to MFG OutLoud. Strongly encourage you to check out his podcast. We have John, my buddy from New Jersey, is on the program. Of course, Dan Bigger. I said, thank you guys for joining us. And this Tuesday, you're doing an incredible presentation for Temple University. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I'd love for you to go ahead and jump into you've got a little program here for us today.
Yeah, I do. And what I'm trying to do with the program with Temple is same thing here. Today is the light version because obviously not going to be able to go through everything that's there. But I really want to, dispel some myths about international business. Discuss the kind of give people some confidence. They probably are sitting on more resources than they're aware of, or they're closer to them than they think, and kind of take some of the fear and the misinformation out of the way. And then really my approach on it is, again, I'm not the e-commerce guru that you are, Curt, but what I do know is that e-commerce in an international role is an amazing tool, provided the manufacturer has taken the right steps, develop the strategy, develop some tactics, get their team involved in it. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'll talk about that a little bit today. It's so important to lay the right foundation. And as Allison says, once you know the why, the how becomes clear.
Right.
And too many people skip to the tactics, and that's a short road to burn a lot of money.
Yep. Great point. So if we're technically getting through things, if you want to go ahead and hit share, and I know you've got a few slides that you want to share with everybody, and we're all gonna be global experts in the next 20 minutes, man. No, I don't know. We've got 30 years of experience coming at you right now. So seatbelts are strapped on, pencils sharpened, and here we go.
Let's see.
Well, and the funny thing is, Curt, is when I saw Ray's profile on LinkedIn, I didn't get past manufacturing unicorn. I said, hell, if somebody's going to call themselves a manufacturing unicorn, I want to meet them. That was the only reason, honestly.
Oh, God. That's well, I didn't call myself that. So, hey, is the slide coming through? Are you seeing it?
It looks perfect.
All right. That's my ugly mug there. So the key thing I want everybody on here that's in manufacturing is to realize right now, no matter how tough or challenging you might see things, right now, you're sitting on more innovation, resources, and growth potential than you realize. Okay, it's a fact, and I've seen it time and again. I've shared it with Damon. It's like there isn't a manufacturing facility on the planet that isn't sitting on 20% more upside growth with customers they already have. And that's a minimum. We'll talk about that. So the unicorn status that's been bestowed upon me by Alison, I don't come up with my own nicknames. I help manufacturers bridge that gap between sales, marketing, and operations. Because if you don't connect all of this growth stuff all the way back into the factory, a couple of people in the office feel good, and everybody in the plant's mad at you, and you're not making any money. So I've had the great good fortune to get involved in that domestically and internationally. Like I mentioned, the prospect of going global shouldn't be overwhelming or scary. And a lot of people are still walking around with some notions and myths from the way it was 30 years ago. And it doesn't have to be that way. The key thing, I know what you're thinking. It seems overwhelming. And part of the challenge is you're not lacking data or stats. I mean, my God, you can slide down a surfing rabbit hole online and find a zillion statistics, and you think the whole world is so huge. Everything's growing. What's going on with me? I'm drowning in all this data. What's going on? Don't get stuck in the starting gate. Is really the first point. It's like, don't panic. I know there's a lot out there. One of the number one reasons that I see businesses delay or ignore exploring taking their business global, they're weighed down by bad or incorrect information. Somebody knows somebody that tried to do something in Mexico in the 70s, and boy, did they have a bad time, so I'm not going to go there. Or the person at the networking event that has a bigger lake house than you do, is the go-to expert on things, even though he ships or she ships within a 3-state region. You know what I mean? It's like you got to kind of check yourself there. There's no shortage of opinions, but what you really need are some facts. And you need to be talking to some people that have been there or have. Believe it or not, there are organizations out there that have a vested interest in you being successful internationally. Okay. And, let me get rid of one of the first myths right off the bat. All right. Going global is expensive. No, it's not. The short answer is no, it's not. Or perhaps the more pointed answer, it doesn't have to be. And again, some of the old thinking is, man, if I don't get a Big 4 accounting firm involved, or Baker McKenzie is my law firm, and they put the vacuum cleaner in my wallet, there's no way I can go global. Not true. That's not the way it is today. That's not to say you don't need some resources at some point, but if the first place you go is to call a lawyer and accountant, you ain't doing it right. Okay. The first place you really need to be going, where there are some outstanding resources, and this is a fraction of what's out there. And what I wanted to do is just share an example of some organizations that can tell you what it's really like out there. Everything from the marketplace companies like Alibaba that engage with manufacturers of all shapes and sizes. Shopify is a phenomenal platform. The American Chamber of Commerce has offices and chapters all over the world where you can engage with American companies doing business in the market you want to be in and get some information. U.S. Commercial Services, Exim Bank, IMEC is one of the big MEPs based in Illinois that does an exceptional job of getting good information to manufacturers that are looking to do some stuff. I list international development organizations. I do a lot of work with the government of Malaysia to help with foreign direct investment over there, and it's remarkable the amount of help and resources that are available for you. And for the most part, nearly everybody on here, to have a conversation, get some information, do some research, it's free. This isn't going to cost you anything. So the information is there. Now, information and facts by themselves, it gives you the context. You've still got to decide where all of this fits, in your business. So in terms of cost and resources, it's like, it doesn't have to be a zillion bucks, depending what you want to do. The resources are there. So, guys, if anywhere along the way, if there are questions that are coming in at any point, fire them at me and let's pick them off as we go. Okay.
Sure.
So again, myth number 2, my company's too small to go global. And really there's a 3-word response to that, which is wrong, and well, you're wrong. The reality is I've been doing global business since 1985. And yeah, it was a hell of a lot different then. You didn't have the online marketplaces. You really needed to have a footprint somewhere. Yeah, it was a 6-7 figure, investment if you wanted to put a manufacturing facility someplace else. A lot has changed. Much, much different today. So you got to take that one off the table, change that mindset. And a big part of it is why smaller companies kind of have an inherent advantage here is you don't have the layers of bureaucracy. You've got the owner, everybody's kind of wearing a lot of different hats, which is awesome, because during the time when you're building a lot of processes and things that need to scale, you've got people that understand purchasing as well as receiving and shipping and probably the order entry and customer service. So there's a lot to be said for having that small, very nimble team available for you. And again, I think this is one of the only stats I've got out here. 97% of U.S. exporters are small businesses. There's plenty of signals out there that say you really need to be doing this. But that inherent advantage is you're not burdened by layers of bureaucracy. It's easy for you to pivot and iterate. because one of the things I'm going to get to here is, this isn't a cowabunga move. If you're doing your homework right, you're kind of doing a test and tune. It's not like, well, we're going to go from serving the Midwest to being in 40 countries overnight. Suicide move. Don't do that. There's a lot you're going to need to learn as you go, and it's a heck of a lot easier for smaller companies to be able to do that than for large ones. Plus, you've got the opportunity in a small company where more members of your team get a front row seat to what's going on. Okay, think about that. If your international strategy and tactics is something that comes out of the conference room and gets sprung on everybody in the company, you're setting yourself up for failure. Okay, it really is an organizational effort, and I'll explain why in a couple of slides, because it is going to challenge you to change and modify some of your current ways of doing business. So there's a little bit of a change management effort coming your way as well. Okay, but resources are there. Size isn't. Resources are there. It's not expensive. It's you don't have to be huge to be able to pull it off. In fact, you got some advantages, being smaller, which is what gets me to the why. And this is key. You really got to nail down why is it you're looking to do this international thing. What is it? Is it a growth? Is it part of your growth strategy? Are you following a customer somewhere that's doing something? You really need to spend some time answering that question. This is one of my favorite quotes about strategy. Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. True back 3 zillion years ago. It's true today. You really got to spend the time thinking about where you're going. This is not an instance where you want to just kind of jump in and see what happens. You know what I mean? This is the ready, fire, aim approach, or like today, what's popular with a lot of data and analytics things. Well, let's just collect the data and see what it tells us. If you don't start this journey with a business case or a business reason in mind, on the one hand, I envy you for having the money just to burn. But, if you or your shareholders, your employees are counting on a return for your effort, have a plan. Put some effort into that. Anything else is just an expensive fishing trip. Any questions at this point? Anything going?
Yeah, we do, Ray.
Yeah.
We have Dan Bigger has an awesome question. So
Yeah.
he's asking, and maybe you'll get into this, but where do you start? Where do you recommend as far as choosing what countries to start in? North America and expand, Europe. So, I mean, is there kind of like a e-commerce or e-commerce? Is there like a going global checklist, or is there a place that you recommend to start? Or is it just always a depend kind of an answer?
Well, it's an excellent question, Dan, and I'm glad you brought it up. And it's right what's on this slide here. You start with your current customers, because they're really going to be your best indication of, figuring out what is your sweet spot. And really, this is that first place where you do some analysis about the customers you have, and this is just doing some structured but some basic things. And what I'm talking about here is you want to gather, qualitative as well as quantitative data, okay? Because it can't just be, well, all my customers love me because I ask them. It's like, come on, dig in a little deeper than that. Find some stuff out about them, and things you look at. That first, that first phase, talking to your current customers, man, that's the richest, most accessible and quantifiable source for information you have. Get in there. I encourage you, if you've got a big list, if you've got a couple hundred customers or something like that, work with a local community college, or if you've got a marketing firm or something like that, find somebody that knows something about putting a quick survey together. Chances are you're probably doing something like that to meet the requirements of your ISO. Put a little more thought and effort into it and run a survey to try and understand, get some feedback about what your customers think of you. How are you doing? Don't ask them just what they love about you, although that's nice to hear and you get the dopamine rush, but ask them where and how you can improve. That's one. The other thing to do is when was the last time you really did some serious online research about your customers? I mean, I've gone through this exercise many times in my career, and it's surprising how many times you find out where it's like, I didn't know they also owned this company, or they also had this division in this location. I got news for you. If you have a vendor number in one location, you're light years ahead of anybody else that's going in cold at that other location. You know what I mean? So sometimes those international things, it's just a matter of, hey, give me the buyer for that's that's based in Shanghai, or give me the buyer that you deal with in in Dusseldorf or wherever. They'll give you the names. If you're doing a good job, especially they'll give you the names. So starting with your current customers, if you're the boss, or you get a chance to go with those one-on-one meetings with the customers, bring the boss with. Get the fanciest business card you can in your company to come with you to meet with your clients, and let them know that you're interested in doing more to serve them. And if you want to see, somebody come out of their chair, it's like all of a sudden you've invited them into your process, and you're telling them, hey, we want to optimize our business so we can do an even better job for you. Talk about getting a seat at the table. Right. So part of it is you talk to that current group of customers, talking to the customers that you want. You need to have that profile. Okay, here's who we are. Here's what our company does really well. These are the kind of companies that really, run with what research and engage with those other organizations. Come
that.
Yeah.
That was
companies similar to, you know what I mean? How do I go?
The fish you want to catch. What kind of bait are you bringing? To the table. So that's where you start doing the research. It gets a little trickier internationally because it's hard to find the Thomas Industrial Guide, of Southeast Asia. It's not organized that way, but it's not impossible to find. There are sources, and it's not expensive, but do the homework. You can find those things. They're out there. Yeah.
We may want to explain what the Thomas Industrial Guide is to some people on the call. That's a paper book.
Yeah, I hear you.
Back in the day of a phone book.
Yeah. Well, but here's the cool thing. If you look them up today, because it's what Thomas.net.
Yeah.
If you look them up today, they did a phenomenal pivot, now they're basically a data company,
right.
and information services company, doing what they did 30 years ago, but on freaking steroids.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So it's, but that's, again, we're fortunate to have that type of a resource in our backyard.
Yeah.
Finding those things in other parts of the world take a little digging. So that's, that's all part of it. The other thing is, do some homework on your competition. Not just, well, we're competitors and they're jerks and we're fine. Right. Get over it.
Yeah.
Really the important thing to take a look at is, listen, know what your customer really wants, really interrogate who you are and what your value proposition as a competitor, and do some homework about as a company, and do some homework about your competitor. And the money shot is at these points of intersection.
Yeah.
Where you're going to make all of your money is where your value proposition intersects in a unique way with your customer, because nobody can touch you there.
I love this. I've not seen this one before set like this. That unoriginal portion.
Yeah.
You put like in there, if someone says, "Oh, we produce high quality product or we ship on time," that goes right into the unoriginal part, and it doesn't make a damn bit of difference to anyone, really.
Your commodity. You're a me too. The only way you're going to win business there is price.
Yeah.
Okay. And if your competitor happens to do something that you don't, or they do it better, don't bring it up. You can't play there. It's going to be a capital expenditure for you to play in that area. So that's a completely different decision.
Yeah.
And if there's an area that you duke it out with your competitor that your customer doesn't need, nobody cares. It's like, don't waste any time there. Okay. So to me, this is the one. Why are you doing all that research right here? This figure this out. When you know this, the rest of it's gonna sort itself out for you. Okay. So I'm gonna blow ahead. I had a fancy multimedia presentation I was going to share, but technology got the better of me.
Hey, wait, Ray, go back to that video real quick if you could.
Yeah.
Just go back one. All right. I just want to point out for anybody that doesn't know Ray.
Yeah.
Wait, get back on your video if you can.
Yeah.
Best mustache in manufacturing, hands down. So when you look at like those 3 circles that Ray just had, like his mustache is in that sweet spot.
It's right in your value
that hand, there's not even anybody close. That's
right in there.
Manufacturing.
No,
so I'm sorry, Ray. I didn't mean to digress. Please continue. But compliment.
Right.
I have mustache envy so bad.
I have a very understanding wife. Listen, here's the deal with distance. And the guy that pointed this out to me the best, where it really resonated, a friend of ours, Andrew Deutsch. If he's not on today, anybody that's listening, find him on LinkedIn, Andrew Deutsch, fangledtech.com.
Yeah.
Not only is a freaking riot, but he's a genius on international type stuff. Yeah. And he was one that pointed out, I've lived this before, but I didn't articulate it as well as he did. And it's like, you know what? You kind of forget that, 5,000 miles away in another market, there's probably another you. There's probably a company over there that already does something like you do. So with distance, you've got a couple of problems. One is volume. They may not hear about all the cool stuff you're doing over here just because your SEO and everything else, just at a very fundamental level, they may not have access or even know about you, is number one. And number two, what I like about this, any students of history, what this guy's doing during World War II is listening for aircraft, for enemy aircraft. It's his job and his life depends on hearing that enemy aircraft as soon as he possibly can. I got news for you. Your potential customers in another market aren't getting up every morning wondering, I wonder if there's an injection molder somewhere in the U.S., that could help me. It doesn't happen. You're not on their radar. Right. Okay, so part of it is you've got to figure out and find a way to be heard over there. So you got to work on the volume. You've also got to work on the fidelity. Is there a language issue or something that you need to overcome? The other thing is, all of a sudden, and I'll roll back here real quick. All of a sudden, this unoriginal thing, this zone with distance kind of expands. So your value proposition is closer to the top of that section. You know what I mean? You really better be able to bring the goods. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if they've got to buy from you long distance and there's a suitable substitute close by, you're eating freight. You know what I mean? So you really got to be smart about it. And Andrew's got a great example of a client he had that was doing strapping tape for skids. And long story short, his client in the U.S. was able to sell internationally because they made stuff that would go into automated lines. They didn't make the generic stuff that anybody and their brother could make, in a garage, somewhere else. And because of that, they were able to, expand and experience, a global market. So you got to really think with distance, you really better be bringing the goods, and you better be thinking that, you know what, they do things differently over there. And I love this one. They put tonight's English as a second language class has been canceled. Think about your audience. One guy's whistling, everybody else is kind of looking at their shoes, somebody's checking their watch. It's like, man, you got to be able to get through, and communicate to people. So up to this point, I'm sure you've noticed I've said next to nothing about e-commerce. What I want to get across is the importance of don't let bad information stop you before you even get started. There are more resources than you think. Size or lack of size is not a disadvantage. It could be an advantage. There's a remarkable amount of resources available for free that can help you get going. But the reality is you better know why you're going there in the first place. Okay? Any questions we had to jump to real quick?
No, we're looking good. So Kevin has a jump. Kevin, thank you for joining us. Wish you a great weekend. He's from Gen Alpha, and Gal's with us today. And so, and just real quick, I'm going to drop in again. I've got Ray. Ray, man, I can't wait for your program on Tuesday, Ray. So go. Let's keep rolling.
All right, we're gonna go. I'm gonna keep jumping in. You know what? The digital genie's out of the bottle. The reality is, COVID kind of changed all that beforehand. It was a bit of a convenience, and the forward-thinking people were doing more and more stuff online. Now it's a necessity. If you're not doing something digital or e-commerce related, you're behind the curve. Here's my simple definition of where e-commerce is. And again, I look at it from what's the result. It's a system tool marketplace that allows your customers complete the entire buying cycle from your company online from any device at any time. My friend Curt Anderson had said, if your customers aren't able to buy from you at midnight on a Friday and they don't have to wait for you to come into the office Monday morning, you're doing it right. Okay, that's kind of the essence of the e-commerce world. Yep. It's a system that's intended to bring convenience to your customer. If it doesn't provide a smooth buying experience for your customer, you ain't doing it right. Okay. And part of that first step on that audit, and like Dan had brought up, man, everything goes back to the customer. Start at the customer and work your way back from initial inquiry all the way through. You really need to map that journey that they take and look for the points where they are waiting for a reply or for engagement from you or somebody on your team before they can move further. All right. Because those are the things where if you're online and it slows them down or they hit a roadblock, they're gone. If they're working with you, if they're a current customer and this is the way they're engaging and takes out one of those points, look at it like you're taking a bump out of the road. You need to smooth those touch points on along the way for your customer, because that's what helps them really enjoy the buying experience, take the friction out of the process. And that's where, once you start looking, if you know who you are as a company, your competitors, the market you want, the customer journey and those types of things, now you're in the position to start having a meaningful conversation with Alibaba, with Amazon, with Shopify. You know what the hell you're supposed to do, instead of, I don't know, I got a storefront and nothing's happening. Okay. That's kind of why. You really got to do the homework about where your customers are coming from. On the international side, it's identify the markets, understand the challenges of international e-commerce. I'll get to that in a second. Localize, determine payment methods, activate and launch. A lot of that, the mechanics aren't that hard. And there's a lot of ways you can get help in that regard. Top mistake people make with global expansion is they spend all the time, they invest up front, they don't spend time validating whether they resonate or not. You know what I mean? Before you get going, it's like, you better make sure they want you, and that there's some sign that they need you. And there's lots of ways you can figure that out. Even if it's like, well, how do I know if they want my product if I'm not there? Go to your website and look to see where your searches are coming in from. If you're getting a lot of pulls from Japan, or somewhere else, it's a rough measurement, but damn, it's a start, to at least understand what's going on. You've got to know what's going on with regard to landed cost, and getting that dialed in, shipping fees, door-to-door import, export duties. Listen, there are plenty of plugins and there's plenty of resources you can get from the third-party logistics companies. The marketplaces can help you with a lot of these types of things to understand it. Don't take them for granted, because you can get stuck real quick if you don't have somebody advising you on what is the correct way to handle, DDP or DDU. How is it coming in? Are you shipping from a local warehouse or are you building custom from here? Are there import duties because I make, I'm doing a food product? Can I import that? What are the requirements there? All of that stuff can be sorted out, and you can figure that out, as well as the legal and tax considerations. There's bigger risk and cost after the fact than there is up front. spending a few bucks up front to make sure you get things set up correctly is going to save you 10 times what it'll cost you down the road if you made a mistake. Localize everything. Here's, again, another stat up there. 75% of shoppers won't consider buying from a site that isn't in their language. Good news is the majority of the world, you can communicate in English. It's a courtesy. Give them access, to their language. That's a huge step in the right direction. The key is create the illusion that you are right next door to your target customer. Keep that in mind. It's, you're in their country, you're in their home. How do you make it feel like you're a local too? And that's such a key thing to do. And again, the marketplaces can help you with that. The resources that I referenced before can help you with all that stuff as well. So that's kind of the big stuff. E-commerce is it's a tool for you to use to execute better on your strategy and tactics. It is a tool today that you cannot ignore. You're not too late, but if it isn't part of your planning and your strategy, get started because it's not hard to get going. And if you're not moving, your competitors are. Okay, so that's kind of an important one to think through. So where we're at right now, this is kind of the last shot at any questions, thoughts, comments.
Well, dude, first off, there's just so much. Now, first off, this last image is my twin. So I just went. There's my twin right there, Dr. Evil. So thanks for posting that. I knew you did that just for me, right? That's as a matter of fact, that's my profile picture right now. But man, Ray, this was just beyond. I had super high expectations. This was just so phenomenal, so helpful. And what I loved is you talk about how it's so overwhelming, it's daunting. My goodness, trying to go international. There's just so many barriers. I'm just not going to do it. I think Alison calls it, the chief resistance officer. Right. Somebody's always going to get in the way. And you just dispelled that. When you're talking with one of your clients or folks that you're working with and you run into that chief resistance officer, how are you breaking that barrier? Obviously, you just went through a great presentation, but what are the first things that you're going to tell them to break that international barrier down?
Well, part of it is I've been there and done it, and it's like it's easier now than it has been before. But all of that being said, if you really don't want to, or if the owner is afraid, all I can do is kind of coach them through it. Right. And it's like, tell me what you think. It's one of those things. Is there a fact pattern I could share with you that in your mind would cause you to think differently? Mm-hmm. And if they say no, then it's like trying to talk somebody out of their religion. They've just got this deep-seated belief they're never going to, it's never going to be any different. I can't change their mind. If they're not sure because they've heard some bad information, I can coach them through some facts. It's still their decision. It's their money, is the thing. But I can point them to the source, the data sources, and how to do the research correctly, and I can do it alongside them. I never do a project or an engagement where it's like, here's the magic binder, just do this and you'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Because something always comes up. So it's like, man, if we start picking up some speed and we hit a speed bump, don't worry about it. I got you. Right. That's what I'm here for. I'll sort this stuff out for you. So, if the roadblock is at the very highest level, maybe it's just hearing from somebody. I come at it from a manufacturing standpoint. I come at it from a CEO's perspective. If this isn't going to make my company better and grow, at or above plan and make us more profitable, I'm not going to do it. So if I can help I come at it like, if there's a compelling reason, then you really should consider it and take it in stages.
Right, man. This was so good. Ray, I'm dropping your, once again, guys. So Gail, Greg, a bunch of us are consultants out there. Any of your clients anytime that international global conversation comes up, this is your man. You want to contact Ray, shoot him a note on LinkedIn. Just, hey, Ray, could we have a chat?
Sure.
I want to dig a little bit deeper into this. Could I pull you in on a conversation with a client?
Yep.
You want to check out his podcast, of course. I want to be mindful of everybody's time, Ray. So I want to get back to the table so they have a chance to talk to you one-on-one. Any last, I'm going to ask you one last question.
Yeah.
And I like to ask this every week. And then Damon, I think, you got to pull up Greg. You got to pull up Val, because we got to, anybody that has a Manufacturing Trailblazer t-shirt, we got to pull them up on the stage.
You guys are killing me. Allison gave me a Manufacturing Unicorn shirt, and I'm wearing it today. And I'm like, God damn.
Take a picture and text us. But so since we all love Allison, this is the question we ask every week. There it is. Greg's on the stage. How about Val? Is Val out there? Can we get Val on the stage? I think she got a t-shirt. So Ray, Allison constantly talks about how do we make that our customer the hero of our story, right? She took you all the time on your podcast, every time I'm on the phone with her. How do you make your client the hero of your story?
Oh man, I'm telling you, I have such a soft spot for manufacturers. Every one of them's a hero that I see. Whether you're that one person shop, you got a Bridgeport, a lathe, grinder, and you do some welding or whatever. It's like, I get it. So it's like they're all heroes to me in terms of what they're doing. And it's tough because every day we talk about working on your business instead of in your business,
right.
and that's an easy conversation to consultants to tell hey, take it easy and don't worry. It's like, hey, that's where myself, Greg, Damon, you guys, come in and what we try to do is take a little load off their plate for a while, get something new working for them that isn't, high stress or require 10 more employees to keep going, and leave them better than you found them, so that they grow and start to get a feel for it and then call you back and you help them get to next,
Right. Yeah. Phenomenal answer. And that's, I think, we have a great group here, on Fridays, we have a great group that we've been working together. We collaborate with each other. We're just so passionate about helping manufacturers. And I think that's why we all get along. Here's Ray. I don't know. Can you guys see that? There's Ray right there.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely love it. Let's show our speakers, Greg. Let's see the shirt, see it, Damon. So we need a big thank you to Allison. I'm going to I need to take a screenshot of this. So here we go. So we'll have to send that to Allison.
There you go.
Ray, we're going to wrap things up, man. Yeah. We send, God, dude, we love you, man. You're just such an awesome guy. You're a man of integrity, great family man. Since you had me at hello, even before I knew that unicorn thing. But we can't thank you enough for taking time. I know you're super busy. I think you're actually on vacation. Thank you for taking time to join us and to share your expertise. Guys, catch Ray on Tuesday at Temple University, the Small Business Development Center. He's going to be crushing it even further. Reach out to Ray anytime you want to. Yep. And I might get down on my knee and propose, man. So next week, Dame, we'll have our bromance shirts on next week for you guys. So guys, wish you all a phenomenal weekend. We thank you so much for taking time, and get out there and crush it, man. Just keep crushing it. Ray, thank you, dude. God bless you.
Thanks, everybody. Go get them.
So much. Awesome, Ray.
All right, guys.
Cool stuff again. We're going to go back to the tables here. I'm going to shut us down on LinkedIn Live. Hey, if you weren't listening to us on LinkedIn Live, you can jump into Remo on our link every week and get in here and get into the conversations after this. So remember that. We will be back again next Friday, and we're going back to the tables on Remo.